What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wolf Coffee channel. If you've just joined us for the first time, we're in the middle of a three-part series focusing on latte art. Part 1 will be in a link somewhere here or down below me, and that's all about hearts. This video we're going to be focusing on tulips and making sure that your tulips are looking good as they can be. So what we're going to be doing is showing you what a good tulip is and then moving through what some of the more common issues are with tulips and how you can possibly fix them. Now, these 3 videos, we are asking you out there, if you're not currently subscribed to our channel, jump on board because we'd love to have you. We're this close to 100,000 subscribers, so thank you to those of you who subscribed when you watched the last video. But jump in with us because when we get to 100, we're going for broke. We've got a really cool video that we'd love to share with you, but we've got to get there first. But today, it's all about the tulip, and on our next video, it's about the rosetta. So join us now as we go through the tulip, the good, the bad, the ugly, and we help you fix yours at home. First up, we'll go with the perfect tulip, or at least as perfect as I can get it. So with all of our patterns, as with this one, we mix in 3/4 of the way up through the cup, then we drop right into the middle, and we start developing our tulip. Now, part of stacking a tulip is adding layer after layer, lining them all up one after another, and on the last one, pulling through that stack. And what we should end up with is a relatively symmetrical, centered, and stacked tulip. Problem number 1. Now, one of the more common problems with things like tulips and rosettas, as compared to things like hearts, is that what we left out in the heart video, but what's more important here, is the quality of the milk. Now, with thicker milk or thinner milk, unfortunately, your patterns won't end up looking as dynamic or as quality because your milk has to be just right when it comes to these 2 separate patterns. Both tulips and rosettas are predicated on the fact that your milk is bang on perfect. The nature of these patterns is there's a lot more to them than a heart, and unfortunately that means if your milk isn't just right, it's not going to work out the way you want it to be. You can't fit as many stacks in that tulip. The leaves of that rosetta don't quite work out as well. So you have to make sure, and the problem number 1 with these are that your milk is exactly the way you need it to be. Now, our biggest suggestion is jump to our video about milk texturing, and that'll get you dialed in just right on making sure your milk is where you want it to be. Problem number 2. Now, a lot of the time when I talk about tulips, what I often refer to is the fact that there is a universal number out there for most people, which is the comfortable amount with which they try and stack tulips. Now, the problem with trying to go beyond that is you really have to push yourself to do it. The downside to it is your tulips start to look really wonky and out of place if you try and put more stacks in them than you're ready to put. Now, this doesn't mean you can't improve yourself and be getting more and more and more stacks as you go, but it's the factor that it takes time. Everyone wants to be a champion and put 20 stacks into a tulip overnight, but generally when you find there is a comfortable number you can go for, use that as your springboard. Use that as the thing you stack to whenever you're doing dine-in cups in a cafe setting. That way your tulips always look exactly how you want them to while you practice getting more out of them. Now, for me, that number is normally about 6. Sometimes I'll get 7 or 8 if I'm lucky, but if I want to do 9 or more, I really have to put in the time and the effort to make them better. I'm not going to jump in and try and put 20 stacks into a tulip overnight and then find that what it's really doing is blurring the lines between those layers. Find that comfortable number that's out there in the universe for you, practice that number until it looks amazing, then maybe add 1 at a time. All right, problem number 3. Now, our final problem is what I like to call overzealous pull-through. And what we mean by that is while your mix-in is perfect, with every layer of a tulip, you're overdoing the pour. Now, the good motion is where you basically create a kidney shape on every layer, and only at the end do you do that nice thin pull-through. Whereas here, every layer has been mashed together, and the look of the tulip has disappeared. Because instead of doing little dollops and creating each kidney until you get to the end, at which point you pull up and create a really nice thin line through that coffee, what you're doing is you're over pouring each layer, really driving through each one. And what you start to lose is the shape of that tulip. It kind of all blends into one and merges into the cup. Now, that's the most important thing, and why we mentioned in our heart video that last pull through is the most important part. Here on a tulip and in a rosetta, that final motion is lifting the jug up and creating one thin line that cuts all the way through the tulip. Here, we've done that line and driven through each layer, and that's where it's gone wrong. Alrighty, so that's a tulip. Look, hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully you've seen things that always happen to you, and maybe this is a way for you to fix what's always a common problem. As we said before, look, we're so close to 100,000 subscribers, and thank you all for subscribing, whether you did it in this video or the last, and we'd love to see you for the next, because rosettas are on the horizon, and I know a lot of people struggle with rosettas. I know I certainly did, and we'd love to have you where we show you maybe how to make those rosettas just that little bit more perfect. But hey, thanks again. We'll see you next time.